And I would never want someone else to be making those sort of plans, and I would never want someone else to not
I'm
be
so sorry that you have to grow up in a world where this is still present.
Of taking care of people also really feeds me, and I think that is in many ways.
Picture this: Meghan Markle gliding through Paris, wrapped in a flawless white gown, radiating pure Hollywood meets royalty glamour. Cameras flash, whispers rise, and yet, behind that dazzling smile, a quiet storm was brewing. What started as a private request for a luxury handbag would soon turn into one of the most sophisticated rejections in fashion history. Because when Hermès says no, they do it with elegance sharp enough to cut glass. It all began late last year. Meghan's team reportedly reached out directly to Hermès headquarters in Paris. This wasn't a simple, "Can we get on the Birkin wait list?"
door.
Are not ready for this one. So it all started as something Meghan Markle thought would be this quiet, classy little favor. You know, the kind of luxury request.
Symbolize her global influence and commitment to philanthropy. The concept was meant to debut at a high-profile Montecito charity gala, her glamorous re-entry into elite fashion circles. She envisioned ethically sourced leather, gold-plated hardware, and an engraved quote from one of her own speeches. Yes, a duchess quoting herself on a Birkin bag. On paper, it was audacious.
Supposed to be a glamorous night. Glitzy lights, a humanitarian award, and a red carpet.
Team expected. The email, written in perfectly measured French diplomacy, read, "Madame Hermès does not accept external creative direction on heritage pieces. Our legacy is defined by the maison, not by collaboration." Translation: you don't redesign history, and certainly not Hermès. Most people would have stopped there. But Meghan's stylist quickly fired back, suggesting that her vision could modernize Hermès for a new audience. That reply did not go over well in Paris. Within hours, a senior Hermès executive quietly forwarded the email thread to a select group of fashion editors, using it as an example of how modern entitlement sometimes clashes with traditional craftsmanship. It wasn't long before quiet murmurs began to ripple through Paris. No names were mentioned, but
We were nesting and healing, and also, I don't even know I had the bandwidth at that time.
well-known Parisian insider. Just 4 words that sent the internet into a frenzy. They said no publicly. Now here's what makes this story even more dramatic. Hermès never engages in public scandal. Their entire reputation is built on discretion. So for something like this to leak, that was intentional. It was a statement. And soon enough, fashion circles across Europe were buzzing with
Hours.
This who they didn't want in the palace?
Suggesting
As the story exploded on social media, memes poured in. Photos of Birkin bags beside Meghan with captions like, "Not every door opens for a duchess." Late-night hosts turned it into punchlines. And when Hermès' creative director was asked in an interview if they ever made exceptions for big names, his response was as icy as it was brilliant. "We've had many requests, some very famous, but when a name outweighs the craftsmanship, we must decline." The crowd laughed, but everyone understood exactly who he meant. By morning, Hermes rejects Meghan was trending. TikTokers dissected every frame of her outfits. Twitter threads turned the story into digital theater. Inside Montecito, sources say Meghan's team went into crisis mode. They held an emergency PR meeting that night to flip the narrative, claiming she had actually declined the collaboration because it didn't align with her ethical values. Clever move, except Hermès had already cemented their position. Silence as sophistication. Then, just days later, Meghan dropped a new video. Soft lighting, white blouse, natural makeup. Her signature reclaimed the narrative look. She spoke about the illusion of status and how true influence comes from impact, not labels. It was beautiful, but insiders caught the irony immediately. That phrase, impact, not labels, was nearly identical to one Hermès' creative director had said years earlier. The fashion world saw it as a subtle clapback. And once again, the headlines flared. Meghan Markle fires back at Hermès. Hermès responded in their usual, cuttingly elegant way. A short statement. Hermès does not engage in public discourse, paired with a vintage quote from their founder that read, "Luxury is what you don't see." Translation: your noise proves our point. Still, Meghan wasn't backing down. Her team pivoted to eco-luxury brands, pitching her as the face of responsible prestige. But whispers from Paris hinted that Hermès had quietly warned partners to steer clear of influencers tied to controversy. In the fashion world, even an unspoken Hermès whisper carries the weight of law. One columnist summed it up best. When you try to edit a heritage brand, you don't change it, it edits you out. And that's exactly what seemed to happen. Designers pulled out, photographers backed away. But Meghan pressed forward, determined to take control of her image again. Soon, her new Own It campaign launched. Minimalist, barefoot, linen trench, hand-woven clutch, and that unmistakable look of defiance. Her supporters called it empowerment. Her critics called it performance art. Either way, it worked. The internet was once again divided, but everyone was talking about Meghan. The products from her line were subtle yet symbolic. Small leather goods in silk, scarves embossed with phrases like "Ask anyway, own the room," and made without permission. Each one a quiet statement to those who tried to shut her out. And just recently, Meghan was spotted in Los